Welcome to episode 88 of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here. You're welcome. This week, I have with me somebody who I met at the con, AACon 2019, and his lovely fiance now, Natalie Noah. But he's going to be on talking to me about his mixology awesomeness and a bunch of other stuff. So if you will join me in welcoming Lyman Smith. How's it going, Lyman?
Going good, man. How are you?
I'm just dandy. Thanks for asking. Um, Thanks for coming on a short notice. As if anybody was paying attention to my post on Facebook, I was supposed to have Aaron Rabinowitz on last night after fucking it up last Thursday because my internet was fucked.
Does he
But I
not
have
go
to,
by Aaron Rabi anymore?
I don't know. That's the way that if he doesn't want me to, I won't.
Well, until I get corrected, it's Aaron Rabi.
Well, Aaron Rabbit. Okay, if I fucked it up, then I
No?
guess I'll correct me. Yeah, but my network went down Thursday for no reason, and then I was going to do it again yesterday, but uh, he didn't think we were, or we didn't. He didn't think we had confirmed, so he was doing something else. So whatever. So we're going to try it again next week. But this week we got the Liminator on. I actually was going to have you on anyway at some point, but
Oh, well. Glad I
so
could cut in front of the great Aaron Rabi.
yeah. So um, first of all, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Oh, jeez. Um, well, I'm a father to a 6-year-old. I'm currently sitting in the our backyard of the Newell Smith residence. And I too had technical problems a little while ago, hence why I'm sitting outside on my phone instead of at my computer.
Yeah. What's funny about that whole thing is, in case anybody is wondering, Lyman is supposedly Mr. IT man, and apparently he can't figure out his own shit.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't know what's going on there.
when you tinker, you break it. Let's put it that way. Guilty.
Fair enough. That's happened to me before. All right, man. Well, let's see. So first of all, maybe we should do a little brief recap of how we met at the American Atheist Convention
All right.
in Cincinnati. We actually had talked about, of course, Natalie. I knew from I've known her for a while, actually, a couple
When did you
years.
guys
It's been
meet?
uh, let's see. She was doing the Science Moms promotion at the time, and she was just in the community, I think, some kind of way, and then well, she was with a certain man at the time, we shall not name, that I knew,
Mm-hmm.
her ex, and so that kind of cemented, I guess, the relationship because I had noticed that they were growing closer. I'm like, okay, something's going on. Anyway, we won't go into that too much. I didn't want to be, be that guy, but
No.
I did have her on. It was not. It was early on. I had her on talking about the Science Moms
Okay. So
documentary.
so it's been what, like 2017?
Has it been that long? It might have been that long,
Well,
probably. Yeah.
I think that's when Science Moms like started the the rounds or whatever when she was
Yeah,
out and about.
yeah, and actually, she was kind enough to give me an uncut, kind of a before cut or
Oh,
whatever.
like the
So
rough cut or whatever.
yeah, that was kind of neat. Like I was in the know and shit.
Well, and the
And
interesting.
somehow,
Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the
No, go
interesting
ahead.
thing for me was I had watched Science Moms way before I knew anything like who she was, and I had actually I heard her on, I think it was Serious Inquiries Only, and opening arguments, and so we ended up talking through the opening arguments community on Facebook. But I didn't put two and two together that she had anything to do with science moms. So one day she was just kind of like, when we were talking, she was just kind of like, "Oh, I did a documentary." I was like, "Oh, cool." And then she told me what it was, and I was like, "Why does that sound familiar?" I had no idea. I had no idea about any of it. I was so dense.
Yeah. So, and somehow, inexplicably, I ended up in the credits or in the acknowledgments or some shit.
Oh, did
I
you?
don't know. Yeah, I don't like the thank you things or whatever.
Special
I don't
thanks
know.
or
I guess it
whatever.
was. Yeah. I guess it was the beard. Maybe the beard helped to inspire. I don't know. Because I can understand. I can, that's understandable because the beard is quite formidable. You know.
And I mean, it makes everything you say seem much more sage and wise. You know.
Yeah. Well, we are in sore need of any source of that nowadays, I'm afraid,
Oh, that's the
considering our
truth.
current
That is
dumbing
the
down
truth.
of America. So, anyway, we may get into that. But, yeah, so that's how I met Natalie. And I met you, well, through her, obviously. I didn't. You just popped up out of nowhere. Who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck kind of name is Lyman, anyway? But,
Yeah. Well, I don't mind it so much now, but when you're younger, it was unfortunate to have. But yeah, I just kind of, I don't know. I ended up having a lot of people in common on Facebook with her that I didn't realize I had. Um, we just kind of, I don't know, bonded over memes because that's like what we do. We both run a meme site, two different meme sites,
Oh,
ironically.
yeah. See, I'm a little pissed about that, to be honest, because I have better memes. But whatever, I'm glad to know somebody who's
You got good memes?
I mean, I think it's okay.
I mean, are
I'm not
they
saying it's
dank or what kind of memes are they?
they're decent memes. I mean, I don't know.
Ours
Maybe
tend to be.
I'm overestimating my meme game. Most of mine are cats, and I probably get most of the meme. Is hers cheerful nihilism? Is that which one it is?
No, hers is the romantic nihilist,
Oh, you fucking nihilist! I can't fucking
and
keep track. I don't know.
and mine is nihilist manifesto.
I haven't seen that one. I guess I'll have to go look. But no, cheerful nihilism's where I see most of the stuff, I think.
No, that that's actually a really good meme site. Um, hers is kind of like a mix of nihilism, but it's like it doesn't go to the super dark end of things. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's very emo, where it's like pleasant and a little sad, but it's good.
Well, she does it with a couple other people.
She
Uh,
does.
I
She
can't
does.
remember. Nathan and somebody. I can't
Nathan and
remember.
Jeremiah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mutual friends of ours.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I get my memes from others. I find good meme pages and I curate. And so, Malarkey, I want to plug Malarkey as a good meme source of it's not it's just weird shit. Okay.
Is that a
So
Facebook or is that?
yeah, no, it's Facebook. Just it's Malarkey is the name of the page,
Huh.
and it's got some of the weird, just random shit. I mean, you just have to go look. It's so crazy. But
I
I
want to
don't,
I want to see your cat memes. I love cat memes. I have a thing
dude.
for
I
those.
have,
It's disturbing.
yeah, I get. I mean, either you're disturbed by it, which I had somebody tell me that you're obsessed with cats and it's disturbing. That's only because he's a fucking asshole. So I discount him immediately. But you get the
Uh,
people like, man, your cat memes are on point.
you know what? I can use some good cat memes. So,
Uh,
and I
yeah,
actually do. I have a second meme site that's not so nihilistic. So maybe you could. I'll make you an admin on there. You can put out your cat memes.
oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
Should do it.
my memes. Well, I get them from other places, so I don't
Hmm.
want to feel like I don't like doing that. If I don't make my own memes, I am just a spreader of memes. So I get mines from Cat's Hit when it was cat shit. Get it? Cat's Hit, cat shit.
It's very clever and PC.
And then the other one is, oh god, there's a couple of them. Cats on, well, it used to be cats on cocaine. Now it's cats on catnip. And then I've followed so many cat meme pages, I've fucking lost track. So I get them from a number of places. So.
No, I think the ones I frequent, I mean, even before Natalie, I still actually ironically followed her meme page, so I look there a lot. I make a good bit of them, and then there's one that's like, I don't know, it's kind of sappy. It's like if a rom-com like had a baby with like just depression, it would just kind of exist out there. It's called No One Saves You on
That
Facebook.
sounds fun. Okay.
But the other one I like a lot, which is actually a mutual friend of Natalie's and mine, it's called "Fuck You, I'm a Unicorn."
Oh yeah, I have that. Yeah, I'm on that one too. Yeah,
Um,
that's one of my go-tos too.
yeah, I like that one a lot. It's good stuff. Memes are.
I'm getting more leftist. One's called leftist memes for Vanguard teens.
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah, I have a thing also for Marxist and communist memes.
Yeah,
Also,
grouchy socialists. That's another one. There's a couple.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? There's one called like, I can't remember. There's so many that are similar. It's called like revolution porn.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. There's a lot of good memes out there. It's a healthy way to spend your time. Very productive.
Yeah, it's funny. We just spent like 10 minutes talking about memes, which is strangely unsurprising.
That's like a minimum that should be spent talking about memes.
Very minimum, basically. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we met at the old AACon. We had already planned on meeting up.
Indeed.
When we finally actually met in person, I was sitting at our table, our podcast table, whichever. I probably told everybody in the last episode that I got somehow thought somebody, Debbie Goddard thought I was somebody important. That was only because she didn't know anybody else, I think. And so I snuck in there, and I got Tucker from the Atheist in the Trail Park. And
is that who you were sitting with when I met you?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was a guy, yeah.
Yeah, it was a dude.
Yeah. It was Tucker, and then Renee was off wandering around half the fucking time from Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. But yeah, I was there for that. We had nothing on the table. We were just sitting there. Half the time I was watching the Predators hockey game and seeing them get beat on Saturday.
So did you know that you were going to have a table when you got there, or did you just kind of
No, I knew. I just didn't. I don't know. It was like 2 weeks. I didn't have any time to prepare. And I'm not good at that kind of stuff. Like Sharon from Happiest Humor, inexplicably to me, had fucking little jars with this show logo. And I didn't understand why. She didn't really give a satisfactory explanation.
She told us that it was travel shot glasses.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I like the jars, though.
No, it's cool. I just didn't really understand. But whatever. Yeah.
I mean,
I guess I didn't think about that.
I mean, that was actually the first time I met her as well.
Yeah, that's first time I met her. Yeah.
But yeah, actually, AACon is the first con that I had ever gone to regarding anything like this, like atheism or any of that type of thing. So we just kind of last minute, I think it was 2 days, I'd flown in back home here, and then we just kind of decided on the spot. We were just like, oh, okay, we're just going to drive to Cincinnati. And yeah, that was about as much forethought as possible put into it.
Wait, you fucking drove?
We drove, from Maryland to Cincinnati on a whim. I'm going to turn on a light because I underestimated the fact that the sun is going away. So bear with me here a second. I'm going to come inside with me.
That's generally how that works.
Yeah. Does it? Or is that just more science
probably fake
conspiracy,
news.
right?
Yeah, fake news. It's fake news. Yeah.
Everything is, right?
Yeah.
If it insults my belief system, then why bother?
So, yeah, we met. We ended up going to Skyline Chili,
Yeah,
which I had never even fucking heard of, and I'd been there in Cincy a couple of times. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
So I
That
don't
was
know.
Natalie's brainchild. We were driving in the car, and she's like, "Oh, well, we should have Cincinnati chili," and I'm like, "I don't know anything about that because I've lived most of my life up until now in Phoenix. So there's like the Southwest chili and like the Texas chili, but I'd never heard of Cincinnati chili. Which when she Googled it for me and showed me it, I was like, I don't know, because I mean it's on spaghetti, which is kind of suspect, at least to my sensibilities. But I thought it was
Well,
good though.
yeah, that's not unusual for me. I guess maybe it's more of a southern, maybe a midwestern thing, maybe because
It's got to
I've
be.
had spaghetti with my chili
Really?
before. Yeah, it's been a while, but I've done it before. Yeah.
Would you go
Um.
back?
Yeah, I liked it. Now I wouldn't do it all the time, but I would,
No.
because well, I don't know. That's just me. I mean, if I was in Cincy again, I would do it. I don't think I would do it anywhere else though.
Yeah,
But that's just me. That
I can
seems
see
like
that.
something. That seems like something you have to have in a specific location. Like I don't know, German food. You can only go in certain places to have it or something.
I don't think
But
I
that's
would
just
go to like Portland to have Cincinnati chili.
no. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. No, you don't want to do that.
and we talked
So
about it.
we
Like
went there.
I'm on a mission to do the Nashville hot chicken. That's a thing. I,
You
I
better
didn't
go
know.
ahead and
I didn't know it was a thing
you're gonna have to
until about
prepare.
a month ago.
You better start doing your preparations now. You gotta work your way up to it. You
Yeah.
can't just be walking in thinking you're gonna eat some hot chicken. You're gonna have to
No,
work your way up, man.
I gotta like.
Because there's usually different heat levels. There's like just regular and like regular chicken, and there's like mild and medium or whatever. Those words aren't. It's like that meme. Um, I don't think those words mean what you think they mean. Whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Is it super hot?
Yeah, it's not. They say mild or medium. Just go ahead and assume that's not the case. I mean, it's not your typical mild or medium. Let me just say that. Usually, medium's enough for most people. You start getting hot, okay, just that's when you gotta start
A
going
little
ahead
rough.
and getting your napkins ready and getting your fucking. You're gonna start sweating and shit. I'm just telling you now. Bring your towel. So
Pop a handful of like Tums before I eat it.
yeah, you're gonna have to go ahead and just prepare yourself. You better, if you meditate, maybe do some meditation.
Like cleanse my chakra.
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
know.
calm down. Okay, let's not do any woo shit. Okay, so Nashville hot chicken,
Hmm.
and you're coming down here, and I'm gonna see that happen.
This year, I think
But
we're planning on a trip down your area.
that'd be awesome.
We're gonna do it.
Um, I'm actually getting an erection. I'm thinking about that.
The chicken or me showing up?
Anyway, maybe the combination of the two. Who knows? It's a surprise. Anyway, so moving
Yeah.
on. If there is moving on from that, yeah. So the chili, part of the funny part about the chili was the way they named it. So like there was like 2-way, 3-way, and 4-way.
The chicken?
No, no, I'm sorry.
Oh,
We're back to the
I'm
chili
sorry.
now. We're
I
back to the chili.
I thought I heard you say chicken, but that's fine.
Are
All
you
right. So
just
the
is that
chili.
on your mind now? Yeah.
Well, yeah, the chicken. I mean, who doesn't want chicken? The
So
vegans.
yeah, the chili was like 2-way, 3-way, and 4-way or some shit.
Mm.
And of course, I couldn't help it. I'm like, oh, 3-way.
Uh, it,
And it's like you can have just the chili and onions, chili, and I don't remember. There's a couple of different things, I think.
Like options on it.
That
It was like
yeah, I don't remember what the different.
it was like cheese, which is just like shredded cheese or something, and then there was onions, and then you could get it like on a hot dog, or on the spaghetti, or I think like a bowl. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
that
it's
seems
like a
right.
whole thing. Yeah, yeah. So we had that. I thought it was pretty good. We myself.
No,
So after that,
I did too.
you didn't. Yeah, well, you're a fucking loser. That's fine.
That is a
So
fact,
we,
but that's cool.
so y'all went back and did whatever y'all did in the room. I don't want to judge. You do what you do. Okay. And then we ended up meeting up later because that was the night that was. Let's see, was that the GAM? I think that was the GAM, or was that Friday? I'm getting my nights
That was
mixed up.
we showed up. No, we met. Gam was the night before we met.
Okay. So no, okay. Saturday was the dinner. I think is what it was. And y'all did something else. I don't remember. I don't know what y'all had dinner some fancy place. I don't remember. I saw the
It was a hipster place that was like all things biscuits.
biscuits. Except the biscuits probably were garbage because they're not the
Honestly,
South.
I mean, okay, fair enough. And to be fair, I've never been to the South, so I can't really talk. But they were really, really good. If and when we go back there, we definitely need to go and have a
Okay.
dinner based around biscuits. Because
All right. I'm good with biscuits. I love me some fucking biscuits, which explains my my figure, my my Buddha esque figure. So we ended up meeting later on. I think at the bar. I think that's where we ended up finally. Well, before that, you wanted to go to the liquor store because you wanted to get some stuff. Now this is where because I had gone before to get some beer and it was warm because I couldn't find any beer that was cold that was good shit I like or whatever. So I had to settle for hot beer. Um, and I came back and you're like, oh, I want to go to the liquor store. I'm like, well, fine, fuck. So yeah, I took you down there and got lost because apparently I'm incapable of not getting lost in Cincinnati. Thankfully, it didn't take me an hour to find it again. So,
which we'll put a pin in that because I don't know that story.
I mean, it's funny after the fact. At the time, it was fucking infuriating, and I nearly cried a couple of times. I was so frustrated.
I definitely need to know
Anyway,
what made you cry.
um, so y'all were in there for fucking ever. I'm like, God, what the fuck are they doing? Finally, you come out of there. We go back to, and there's like a whole table at the bar of like I said it in the previous podcast, all the GAM guys, like a couple of people I didn't know. Tucker ended up there, Noel and Jude, which you talked to Jude, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you talked to Jude.
Jude? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
No,
where
definitely.
he was in that conversation. And so that was cool, kind of having that, oh yeah, Torres was there, of course. But of course, the big attraction was you going up. Apparently, you went up to your room, got a duffel bag of some sort.
Computer bag.
Uh, yeah, I don't know what it was. Brazenly asked some housemate, whatever the fuck they're called, and said, "Hey, man, I need some ice. I need like bags of ice, like whole bags."
Indeed.
And apparently, she's like,
And
"Oh,
sugar.
okay," and a shit ton of sugar, apparently. So in fancy hotels, I guess they just do that because they can afford it. Try to pull that shit in like a Quality Inn, you ain't getting away with it. Like fuck you, man. So you come back down with in that bag you had ice, bags of ice, sugar, bitters. You can tell me because I don't remember everything you had in there.
So the plastic bag from the liquor store, I filled with ice and jammed in the insulated padded part where a laptop should go. And then I had bitters and a paper sack full of sugar packets. I think they probably were really curious what I was doing because I went to the front desk and I was like, "Hey, like, can I get sugar packets?" And he's like, "Well, how many?" I was like, um, 30 or 40, maybe. And he looked at me like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, when like when you use both hands and grab a big handful and then take one hand and make another handful, and that's probably good." So he's like, "Okay, sir." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Thank you." So I go upstairs. I put that in there. I had the bottle of bitters and then a bottle of Bullet Rye, and just kind of moseyed on back down to the bar where I met up with you guys, and basically just started making everybody old fashions out of the bag.
Okay, so let's back up.
All right, back it
First
up.
of all, you got all that shit came down there. I had no fucking idea because I think you went to the bar previously and said you were a fan of old fashions. I'm like, what the fucking hell is an old fashioned? So why don't you? Because not everybody's 100 fucking years old and knows what fucking old fashioned is. Okay, so why don't you
I'm sorry.
tell everybody what an
All
old
right.
fashioned?
So to make a proper backpack old fashioned, it is, and this goes against anything that you'll read as far as the amount of bitters go, because I like more bitters than not. So, like I was doing like 5 or 6, maybe 7. It wasn't super precise because it was on the covert side. Dashes of bitters into a glass, 2 packets of sugar, like a fistful of ice, and then just kind of fill the glass like a highball glass, like maybe a third of the way, and stir it so it kind of dilutes it, chills it, all that good stuff. And I mean, the only thing I was really missing was a cherry or like a lemon peel, or I'm sorry, an orange peel. I guess you can do lemon. Some people do that, but they're weird. So that's an old fashioned.
So yeah, so you came down there. I'm like, and you're showing it off like you got fucking cocaine in there or something. Hey man,
Showing off.
check out
I'm
what
just like, oh yeah, your glass is empty. You want a drink? Showing off.
I got. You were like going. Hey man, you want something, man? I got something for you.
You're like,
Hey
I got something
hey
here.
kid,
Look
come
at,
here.
I got something for you. You got this?
Now keep in mind we're at a bar, an actual bar. We were sitting at 2 tables put together.
Sure.
Well, 3 actually, and the bar was like right there. Now the only reason we got away because it was packed in there and nobody was paying attention anyway. I was drinking hot fucking old Rasputin, which I wasn't happy about, but I did end up putting a couple in your bag, which you stole one. That's okay.
I stole 2.
You son of a bitch! You know how much?
I'm sure they were like $90.
No, they're not expensive. It's just it's my favorite beer,
I
and you
still
probably just
like literally up on a little table upstairs in our bedroom for unknown, probably because I was too lazy to walk downstairs once I was unpacking my computer bag, which you were using as an ice chest. Um, there is one of your beers sitting up there on the table, unopened.
okay. Well, I want a picture of that just to make sure you're holding it hostage. I want to make sure my hostage is okay. But I'll let that go. I'll let that go because eventually I gave in and drank an old fashioned.
I
Oh
used
yeah,
the other
yeah,
one
it's
to
okay.
make kielbasa and sauerkraut.
Oh really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
it
wait,
was
you
super
did
good.
tell me that.
I think I
Okay,
did.
well, Alex, yeah, you did tell me. I just forgot. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. That's forgivable. So yeah, you ended up pouring people drinks, and I felt kind of bad. I'm like, okay, He's not your personal Bart, but he's asking. So I mean, if he's
I
asking, you might
mean,
as well.
I post enough memes and talk about like people doing stuff for other people. It just seemed like the right thing to do, considering a drink at that bar was like $13. I'm like, no,
Yeah, that's why I didn't. Yeah,
like two drinks
I
is
think I
a
get a.
two drinks is like the cost
I
of
get
a
a.
single bottle.
Yeah, I got a beer for like $8 or something. I was like, I'm not doing that shit again. Oh, then I ended up spilling it everywhere, and I wasn't even
Did you
drunk.
really?
Yeah, I wasn't even drunk.
So
I
I was
don't
just
even
like, you
think
know
I had
what?
to drink it.
You know, for the cause, for the comrades.
Yeah, so that was cool of you to actually. And Mr. Torres apparently gave you a shout out on his show, I believe, about the backpack old fashions, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. Which I mean, I was riding on the freeway when I heard it, and I just started laughing because I thought it was just, I don't know, it just seemed kind of
Yeah,
absurd to me,
it was a
but it
big
was
hit.
nice.
So well, I mean, it's better than being known for other stuff. I guess you could be known for like
Yeah, I mean,
you know
I'm sure,
being a heroin dealer.
depending on what it was, open up opportunities with like the Republican Party, but I'm not into any of that.
We don't even want to go there.
Not really.
So yeah, that was pretty much what we did there. It was good. I mean, it was super. I mean, I wasn't sure. I mean, I know Natalie was gonna. I mean, I had an idea she was already going to be cool. I didn't know what to think of this fucking Lyman guy, but he seemed to turn out okay. We had some good conversations. Uh, Jude was there, and when he was, we also kind of had a good conversations with that. Seemed to pretty much meld on most things. I think so.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't really sure what to expect at the conference. It's because I've been to other types of conferences, and it's not always the most socially accessible, would be the nice way to put it. People, but I knew Natalie liked going to these types of things, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna defer to her judgment, and the worst case scenario is, I get to see Cincinnati with her, so cool. But everybody there was very, very cool. And next year, it's going to be in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to
Shit.
go.
How am I going to get to Phoenix? Oh,
Trains,
I'll worry about
planes,
the details.
automobile.
I'll figure it out. But yeah, if I only go to these conferences. Well, first of all, I was invited because I didn't want to pay for it.
Sure.
So I was like, fuck it, I'll go. And I know Cincinnati fairly well, I guess I should go ahead and relay right now that I know Cincinnati, except for the fact that I parked my car uh, downtown on when we got there to check
Right?
things out before we went to our hotel, which was some. That's a We went to some Quality Inn. It was a high rise. It was kind of a shady part of town. However,
Mm-hmm.
I will say that there was a recliner in the room, and it had an outlet in the arm, like a power outlet, and that is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
In the hotel?
Yeah, in the hotel. Of course, I've never seen anything like it. It's a chair. It's like an easy chair.
Like a lazy boy.
Yeah. I mean, well, it didn't recline, but I mean,
But it's got
and
a
it had an
power
out.
outlet.
Yeah, it had an outlet in the arm or whatever.
Dude, I want one of those for the house here.
That's what I said. I was like, that's awesome. Of course, you got to plug it up somewhere else, but I mean, there was a fucking outlet in the fucking chair itself. I just thought that was the coolest fucking shit ever.
So it's kind of like being on I don't know, like a bus or an airplane,
Yeah,
but it's
something
just
like
kind of
that.
there.
I just thought that was really interesting. But anyway, uh, we before we went back there, we thought we would go to the actual conference and kind of scope things out, and then go back to the hotel. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
parked my car somewhere in downtown Cincinnati. Well, I shouldn't have underestimated actually, but yeah, I have problems with directions. So I parked it and I ended up losing it. So that wasn't pleasant.
Now, so did you park it like on the street or in a garage?
No, it was in the garage, which made it even worse probably because in most cases you can tell your phone, which I should have done. I should have said, okay, let me mark it on my phone so it gets a GPS where it is and I'll have a general idea where it was. But it didn't turn out that way. So we wandered around for an hour trying to find where I parked my car.
See, I think I can maybe make you feel a little better about that because I didn't lose it in a city, like as far as like finding the where it should, where the location it was parked at. But what I did lose was it was like a 6-story parking garage, and it was at like some ballpark that I went to, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And so I got out of the I think it was a Diamondbacks game in Phoenix, and I I'm not even remotely joking if I tell you it was at least an hour of walking every car through the entire thing. And the whole time I'm just pushing the lock button, to
Yeah.
make it beep.
Yeah.
And because there's so much concrete, it's just like, nope. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I'm seriously gonna die in this garage. Like, because I'm gonna age. I'm just gonna be stuck here. That's just how it is. And it was like in the middle of summer, which in Phoenix, 10, 11 o'clock at night, that could mean that it's 103 still. And
Jesus.
oh, dude, it's brutal. And so finally, after doing that, I made my way out. But what I started doing, and I know what you're talking about because I use either Google Maps with the
Yeah.
GPS, or I use Waze,
Yeah. Yeah.
WAZE. If you haven't used it, you should check it out. It's super cool. But at a minimum, now I seriously take a picture of the spot number and what floor I'm on. So if I forget anything like that, I just defer back to my photos.
That's probably a great idea. But I
But
don't
I
usually
learned the hard way.
I don't go anywhere. So I didn't even think about it. And I was in a rush trying to get up there, I guess. So I think that's what a lot of it was. We were kind of in a hurry to see what was up. But it was cold, it was drizzling, and we split up at one point. And yeah, I did get so frustrated that I started like I didn't cry, but I was like, just oh my god, am I ever gonna find it? You
Like
know?
frustration cry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I've
And
more than once
you
in
know,
my life.
yeah. So, oh hello, cat.
I'm
So
gonna
yeah, that
interrupt you. What's your cat's name?
this one's Circe actually.
Seriously, is
Yeah,
and how many do you have?
well, four, but I'll end up with two. It's complicated.
And I won't make you
Technically,
go. I won't make you go into it. But what are their names?
let's see. Now I named Circe. The rest of them I didn't name. Just keep that in mind. Callie, Lillian, and Sandy. So not particularly.
Sandy or Santy like
Saying
Santa Claus?
no, Sandy. Like she's like tan and white.
Oh, cool.
So,
Should I make you go find each one of your cats and show it to me? So
no, yeah, you shouldn't.
no,
I guess it's a pain in the ass.
not at
Sandy
this point.
especially. No, now well, fuck you. Because if you would pay attention to my Facebook page, you would see that I've posted pictures of my cats plenty of times.
You know what? Here's the interesting thing about, and I mean, we all experience this with Facebook, but I'll see articles that you share all the time, but I will never see anything personal. Like I never see a single photo that you like. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those people that generally goes to individuals' walls to check it out. But if I know you got
yeah.
cats and cat memes, I'll do it. I
No,
will.
I don't know what the fuck is up with the algorithms. If you post pictures or like links to like pages or certain pages, it won't work, and I'm not sure why. Strangely, if you put them in the comments, it does. So I don't know. That's what I heard anyway. But whatever. Um, uh,
I've run into some stuff with the meme page because if I post even if I post a meme that's a little like off brand from what is usually on there, it doesn't show to as many people. It's really bizarre, actually.
Let me go ahead and fucking while I'm thinking about what's the name of that damn thing again?
Nihilist Manifesto.
All right, I got it. Okay. So yeah, so if now, of course, if you click on the thing where it says "see first," you'll see all my memes in their glory.
You know what? I think and that's just through your regular page.
Yes, my regular Facebook feed. Yeah, I don't post anything on the podcast page except for
Can I be
occasion.
ashamed right now and say that I'm not a member of your or I I'm not following your podcast page, but I
That's
will.
fine. That's fine. I mean, you do what you want, man. That's fine. You know. I mean, obviously I cry, so maybe I'll cry about that too. You know.
We, I mean, sometime we could just like, I don't know, like hug and shed a tear together and just be like, all right, that one tear is good for everything.
I'm good because
We're
we're
good.
not toxic. We're not about toxic masculinity, so it's fine.
No, I don't even want to get started on that. It'll send me on a spree.
Yeah, I know. So that was the con. So and we've spent a lot of time talking about that, which is fine because I really enjoyed it. But another thing we were going to talk about was parenting as an atheist, which I thought was an interesting topic because I've heard a couple of different takes on this. Um, I know Dan Arrow actually did a book, Parenting Without God, I think the name of it was.
You say Dan Arrow?
Yeah, I don't know if you know who he is.
I know of him. I'm pretty sure. I think he's a friend on my Facebook, but I
He's gone from Facebook. He went to some other social media thing because
is that
Facebook's
recent?
too privacy, hates
Invade
privacy.
like invading.
Yeah, so he went some other one. I can't remember the name of it.
Like
I want to
it's
say it
not
was
like
what?
Tumblr, right?
No, no, no. Like it's another. It's like a Facebook clone, sort of.
Oh, weird. I'd be
Wee
interested
way.
in that.
I forgot the name of it, but he and like their specific uh focus is on privacy. So that's kind
Oh,
of
I think I know what you're talking about. I can't. The name eludes
yeah.
me, but I know what you're talking about because
I don't know if they have enough to pull away from Facebook, but it's worth a shot. At least it's a niche for people who really give a fuck about privacy. I don't know that I'm one of them because what the fuck? I don't have any. What are they gonna do? I have cats and I like beer.
and I mean
Right.
we know that cats are the least private, like privacy respecting critters,
So I mean, what are they gonna do?
but they're majestic, so fuck it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, from him, there's a book that was I never actually read it because I'm not a parent, but I would like to get kind of your ideas on how that. I mean, some of the challenges you face. Maybe first of all, let's kind of. I mean, what kind, what kind of kid do you have? Uh, I don't know.
What flavor did I scoop out of the bin?
Yeah.
So I have a 6-year-old little boy. He just turned 6 in February, and first and only kid. I mean, I do play the role. I mean, I no, I am the role of stepdad for Natalie's two boys, which are 4 and newly 6 as of May. And I don't know. It's interesting because like you interact with people that they may. I mean, I'm not painting anybody as specifically religious zealot or anything. Just the normal person that just kind of assume they go to church, they do their thing, whatever religion they follow, and they just kind of assume you go to church on Sunday, or it's Christmas, so you go to midnight mass, or this and that, and you get a lot of questions where it's kind of like around Christmas time, it's like, oh, what church do you go to for midnight mass? And I'm just like, I don't, and it's just kind of it sometimes it's more awkward than it should be. I don't think it should be, because I mean, let's be honest. A lot of people that are religious, that's like the one day a year they go to church.
Oh yeah.
So, so, and I've had some discussions because I do have friends that are religious, and I have nothing against people that are just believe something. My issue comes in where people try to infect government, things like that, that try to influence, oppress, and jam their beliefs down your throat, which I have a severe problem with. But the question I always get is like, well, how do you explain, like, essentially, the TLDR is like, how do you teach your kid right from wrong?
Ugh.
I mean, you grew up religious. I forget what flavor, but am I correct in remembering that?
Ish. I mean, my mom was Church of Christ. My dad didn't go to church, and I was a military brat, so mom
But
didn't go to church much. But yeah, nominally Church of Christ. Yeah.
but did it influence the way, like, your parents, like, in hindsight, the way your parents dealt with you and handled you? Or I don't know if you have any siblings or anything like that, but
Yeah, my brother. No, not while they were married. Not that I recall. Now, if we went to visit my grandparents, it did.
so it was kind of like everyone puts on their church going hat when they get around their grandparents.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had to. But my mom is fairly devout, but she just couldn't go, and she didn't want. I don't think she wanted to make a big thing out of it. So, in that way, I was kind of saved, I guess, from the worst of it.
So your parents weren't super devout, anything like that. It wasn't
Well,
like,
my dad wasn't. My mom was, but she doesn't like to rock the boat really. And when she was married to dad, he didn't give a fuck. He was too busy out cheating on mom. And anyway, I don't want to get into that.
no, no, no. We can skip that. Like, for me, both my parents were raised Catholic, which in hindsight is really interesting that they were, because when they first were out, because they were both from New York, both raised Catholic, they came out to Arizona, and it was, we want to start a family type of thing, because they met in Arizona, and they defaulted to the Mormon church. So I was raised Mormon until I was about, like, I don't know, 16-ish.
What? Wait
Yeah.
a minute. You went from Catholic to Mormon?
I only we it was weird because we would go to midnight mass at a Catholic church, but the rest of Sundays and all the other LDSE events were all, we attended all that stuff. So I was raised Mormon, but it was kind of like, oh, this is just kind of what you do. You go to midnight mass. It's like nice. It was never, the Catholic aspect was never emphasized. It was always just kind of a nice tradition, I guess, that you do.
I guess. I mean,
It,
that's I have no problem with that. But
and and to be fair, like, as a kid, I always thought, and I still do, like, Catholic churches are really beautiful generally. You get like the big,
oh
the
yeah,
stained glass and everything.
they're good at that ceremony stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And my only complaint, okay, so every Catholic I've ever known is like, oh my God, Catholic mass takes so long. Like, I'm sorry, a Mormon Sunday will smoke any Catholic mass any day in length. Like, you get there at like 8, you're leaving by like 2:33.
Oh
It's,
Jesus God, no, no,
yeah,
no.
and I won't harp on it too much. Like, everyone should, and I'll plug it because I like it, and I like Bryce Blankenagle's. Oh God, I just lost it. You know, do you listen to
Yeah,
his Mormonism podcast?
I haven't. Naked Mormonism, I haven't
Naked
listened.
Mormonism. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's worth listening to, and even as somebody who grew up Mormon, like, I've actually learned quite a bit. Like, it's got a
Well,
pretty dark history and stuff.
he goes into kind of a deep dive. So unless you're really deep into it, I feel like maybe you're not as into it unless you really understand the backstory. But yeah, I mean, if you're into like the really history, if you want to know all the Mormon history and kind of the specifics, then yeah, it's definitely a good show for that.
For sure. But so I got off the track a little bit. But so the big question is always like, you know, Oh, which church do you go to? Like, which mass do you go to? Because there's a lot of Catholics, there's a lot of Lutherans in Phoenix, um, and there's a lot of Mormons, and so generally it comes down to how do you teach your kid morality or ethics or this or right and wrong, whatever you want to call it, and it's not really that difficult because like as religious as I was brought up, it's never an issue of don't do this because Jesus won't love you or something weird like that. It's always like what my dad was really into pushing was don't hurt yourself, don't hurt other people, and he was really into like philanthropy and stuff like that, like giving back to the community in Phoenix for as long as I can remember. So it was just kind of like do things because it feels good to help other people and because it's the right thing to do, which
That's totally right.
so like what I do with my kid is, and he's come home with a few questions because kids at his school, they have their parents doing whatever they do, and I remember it was actually my birthday like 2 years ago, and which is St. Patrick's Day, so I made him like the corned beef, cabbage, all that stuff, and he was like, "Do we need to say a prayer?" And I was like, my gut reaction was like, "Fuck no," but but after I like kind of sat a second, I was like, okay. And I was like, well, no, um, and he just kind of accepted no as an answer. He was like, okay, let's just eat. Cool. But at some point, I anticipate he's going to ask questions about that. But I use, around the holidays, and I've gotten a lot of criticism about this too, because organizations like Salvation Army, all these places, like they're not perfect. They do some stuff that's not really great. But I'll see the guys out front, collecting coins or whatever, and or I'll see there's kind of a shocking amount of homeless people in Phoenix that you see like at intersections or freeway on ramps. And at one point he was just like, "Why is that person standing there with a sign?" And I'm just like, "Well, he doesn't have a lot of money or doesn't have food, and so he needs help." And like I've always been very, even with like just in general, like you should help people because it's a good thing to do. It feels good and people appreciate it. And it's just a nice thing to do. But he was just like, well, maybe we should go get him a hamburger. And so I took him to McDonald's and we got a couple burgers and went back and I had him hand it to the guy out the window. And I kind of use those moments where there's questions of curiosity, where things that you and I might take for granted, um, they're the last questions for as kind of a teaching moment to let them to kind of explain like these people have less than you or they're hurting or something like that. And so if we all work, and I always default back to like things he likes, like Paw Patrol and all these little kids shows, which is like, I don't know, the modern day like GI Joe, Power Rangers, stuff like that. And it's like they work as a team because not everybody can always do everything on their own. So if we all kind of watch each other's back and help out, teamwork kind of gets the job done. And it's I don't know, I kind of default back to like honestly, I just try to take what's relatable to him and what he's interested in at the time and use it as a teaching tool, and just generally say like, at worst case scenario, if you don't like the idea of having this done to you, you just kind of shouldn't do it to other people. Um, and it's kind to me, it's that simple. Um, it doesn't have to be like, well, Leviticus and Ezekiel and all this like nonsense. That's just gibberish and interpreted and, in my opinion, weaponized with kids. Where it's like, I grew up being told like being gay is wrong. I never saw any hate out of it, but it was just kind of like being gay is wrong, and I'm just like, well, And then growing up, I knew kids that came out or this and that, and I'm like, well, these aren't bad people. They're just people. And so I just kind of tell them, people are different. People have struggles, and if they need help, if you can, you should do it. Maybe it's the socialist in me. I don't know, but that's kind of my general angle to it.
Yeah, I know that A lot of it to me, well, a lot of people like you, especially unless, you know, what I mean by like you is people who want to try to give their kids like try to make their own decisions and kind of try not just give them kind of what you think, but not necessarily push them to that precisely. Just kind of give them enough knowledge to make their own decision.
Maybe lead them to the conclusion themselves so they kind of see it instead of feeling like they're told to do it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like because I know a lot of parents or atheist parents are afraid of indoctrination because that's the big fear with a lot of I think is that I don't want to indoctrinate my kid like religious people do. And I'm not necessarily saying all religious people do this per se,
For sure.
because we do. I mean, we all fucking, we all, I'm not a parent, but parents all, tend to fucking transmit what they think is right and wrong to their children. They may not be malicious about it per se, but, you know,
Sure. I mean, and kind of. I mean, I would extend that, transmission of what they believe is right and wrong. It may be what they, some parents do it with, oh well, I wish I was a baseball player, so I'm gonna like shove baseball down my kid's throat, and it becomes almost abusive and things like that. With like, the toddlers and tiaras and stuff like that. There's like
mhm,
that aspect, but then
yeah,
there's, I would even extend it to people that grow up, you know, in racist households. They grow up not even really thinking twice about like, oh, black people or gay people or this or that are, they're told they're bad. And it's like, there is definitely a level of nature versus nurture. Because I don't believe that anybody grows up innately hating anybody. Like people might get mad and have emotions, but it's not, it has nothing to do with anything specific, um, that falls under that category. You know what I mean? It's just like you could be mad at me and, you know, want to like, I don't know, punch me in the rib or something. But like for people to just blanket hate all people that fall into this aesthetic, I think that is not a whole lot different than people that get indoctrinated into one religion or another. And there's varying degrees of how devout they get indoctrinated. The same way there's people that just kind of feel like certain people are icky versus the people that are out there like wanting to lynch them, so to speak.
yeah,
I mean,
literally.
I mean literally and figuratively. Um, I don't think that's a whole lot different. Um, I don't. I. I mean, I think it's to your point about indoctrination. It's like when it's age appropriate, you are kind of indoctrinating your children regardless of what you're teaching them. It's like, chew your food real well so you don't choke. Like miscellaneous things that you don't really explain, you just kind of, that to me that's part of raising a kid. Um, but making them understand, it's one thing to tell them what to do. It's another thing to model it for them, because a lot of people do not, like, do as I say, not as I do type mentality. But then it's important, like regardless, when it's age appropriate, to try to make them understand kind of why, you know.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, yeah, in the beginning, I don't really, because they don't understand, I don't think why you're telling. I don't know that it would really do much good, but at some point, yeah, you're going to have to kind of, when they get to the why phase or whatever,
And
where they,
dude, you're totally right. I mean, I think it's, I think some parents don't understand, like they forget that kids are kids, so they get really mad when things happen and kind of fly off the handle because they forget they're not dealing with somebody that's an adult. Like, and that's not entirely difficult to do. I've tried to explain things to my son where it's like, oh, well, you just do this and this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, he doesn't even know what this and this is, so like, break it down. Um, but I think there's a lot of people that underestimate kids' ability to understand because they're perceptive on an individual level in different ways that are important. And that's why the modeling part is super important to me, in my opinion. It's like, even if it's not what you would necessarily go through the motions of, like when you're by yourself, um, I think setting the example, because they do like the most shocking thing I think I came across uh, as a parent was realizing how closely they will model and pay attention to what you do. I mean, even like my son went through a phase of like trying to hold his fork the same way as me, and it's like I don't even think about that. But it kind of struck me. It's like, okay, well, what what else am I doing? That might not be great that he's not, that he is picking up on. And so, during the holiday times, during random times when it's possible, I just try to do random acts of kindness just so he kind of sees like he kind of I don't want to say get in the habit because that's not the right word, but just kind of assesses situation or looks for people that need help and kind of looks at the situation. But I don't know. It's complicated, but it's not. It's only as complicated as parenting is inherently, but it's not as complicated as people who feel that everyone needs to be a God fearing whatever. Try
Well,
to make it.
I think you'd be surprised. I mean, if I guess to some extent instinct is maybe there is a role for that. I think innately we understand if we have a kid. Again, let me go ahead and say I don't have any kids, but from what I've observed and from what I've heard, there does seem to be some sort of instinct once you have a kid to sort of understand that. Well, at least with some people, I don't. Most people, there's of course there's a lot of shitty parents, so I don't want to say that. I don't want to because there's plenty of people who have shitty parents and don't want to like talking about it because they don't have that same experience. So I do want to emphasize, for people who have shitty parents, obviously that's not the case. But I would say that from what I've seen, at least, I mean, of course, we always hear his mothers had the motherly instinct. I don't think it's unreasonable to think there's a fatherly instinct.
Um, no, I would 100% agree with you because like my son was the first like infant, toddler, everything that I ever interacted with. Like I'd never held a baby. I'd never like I don't know played with a toddler or anything like that. Like my first interaction with somebody who was not, like a peer at school or something like that or a friend was taking my kid home. And so I was horrified. Like leading up to it, I could not begin to tell you how just terrified I was of everything. And kind of once he was there, and as things went on after the sleep deprivation, like went away mostly, and stuff like that, it was no, it's true. Like there's some level of instinct that kicks in where you can't really put it into words. It's not like all of a sudden you have all the answers to all this stuff, but you become very aware of like keeping it like wanting to make sure the kid's okay. Like, and as they get older, like it's like, okay, well, I want them to like not be the bully at school, or there's a level of empathy for if they have problems at school and things like that. And I don't know, it is true. It's cliche, but true. Um, that there are certain aspects that like once you become a parent, things do change. But everyone always says it like it's some dramatic thing, like, oh, you're never going to go out again. You're never going to do this. You're never going to be the same. And it's like, that's not a bad thing. Like for me, it made me a better person. And I'm not implying I was a horrible person before, but it's like it made me a generally better person. It made me much more activist when it came to caring about things like religion and stuff like that. Because it's easy to just write it off and be like, yeah, I'm just not going to go to church, whatever. But it's like, okay, well, now I have this little person that hopefully outlives me. So I'd like to make this place not suck. And it does change things. But for me, it was a good change. It really was. Um, I don't know. Like, do you have a lot of nieces, nephews? Like anything?
No, my brother doesn't have any kids, so no, I don't have any. I don't have any kids where, like, I mean, I have a cousin. My cousin has a kid, but I never really see him. So, no, I don't have much interaction with kids. Now, I've been out with, in the past, I've been out with women who had kids. And so, to some extent, I understand some of that, but I can't even, no, that's not even close to the same. So, I don't want to make that claim. But I have been through some things that it's like a preview what it would be like, and I don't want to I don't know. I've thought about it before. What would it be like, and of course I always say, well, I can barely take care of myself. But then again, I think people underestimate themselves a lot of times when it comes to that, just because they can't imagine it. And I guess it's one of those things you don't really understand until you're actually, just happens when you have that baby in your arms or whatever. I guess. I mean, that sounds cliche as fuck, I guess, but
But you know what? Like, a lot of times cliches are cliche because, you know, I mean, they're true. It just becomes, and you're not wrong. Like, the one thing I would say that if I have to say something positive, um, the one thing I'm fortunate about is I don't have a conflict about raising my kid religious, like a lot of people do. Like, I
yeah,
do know people that, have gotten married and had kids, both being religious, like really religious, like, like born again, like whatever it is. And then they found, they basically kind of denounced religion, became atheist. And the other person did not. And, like, I've known people that it's ended their marriages because of that. It's ended relationships, and the kids are kind of in the middle because it's like one side, or the grandparents are religious, the mom or dad is religious but the other parent is not, and a lot of mixed messages. Like, I really honestly feel for people like in those situations because I don't know, like at the end of the day, I don't like, regardless of what, like, say you or I believe, like say you or I, one of us was religious or not, it's like, it's not that difficult. Like, it doesn't really matter what you believe. Like, it's not that difficult to, like, just take fundamental ideas and try to help your kid not be shitty. Like, that's not a that's
yeah,
not a that's not a theological issue. That's like a human issue. And I won't go down the rabbit hole entirely, but it's like, we see a lot of things today for sure, and have, like, for ages. You know, people justifying fucking with somebody else because, well, you don't worship the same, sky wizard as I do, so you're fucking wrong, or you're less than. It's like, honestly, if religion had a decent fucking PR person and a marketing person, they would be all over getting rid of this whole, like, well, this religion's wrong, so we should go, like, I don't know, bomb them, or like attack them with swords, like whatever it is, throughout history. Because it's like, you can't be like, we love everybody, love one another. Raise your kid, bring your kid into our church, read our book, and then sit there and say that these other people are just, like, basically inhuman. Like, that's the worst marketing, like, platform ever. It's like, you know, and it just doesn't make sense to me, and so it never made sense to me, really. But at the end of the day, I would say, is, if you decide to denounce your religion and you plan on or have children, like, I do understand that I'm fortunate in the aspect that I did not have to risk losing all my friends and family because of it, because, like, they had their beliefs, all that stuff, and they fortunately weren't terrible people when it came to that. But at the end of the day, I do understand that people, when they leave this, they lose their infrastructure, their family circle, like everything. And, you know, it's super cliche since we're clicheing everything today. It's, your family doesn't necessarily. have to be blood. And at the end of the day, like people may go through I'm going to use the word grieving process, but that's not maybe the right term. When they feel like, oh, well, this person left this church or this church. But if they're decent people, and regardless of what their genetic makeup is to yours, like they'll come to terms with it. Because if they legitimately care about at least your happiness, forget agreeing on anything else, just happiness as a person, like they will come back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well,
that's
if they're worth a shit. Oh, well, I don't even want to say if they're worth the shit. If they're not too deeply uh, indoctrinated, I would say.
I think that's fair. Like I think you were more nuanced than I would have been, because I think I've become more cynical and jaded with people being like, oh, well, we're not going to be Christian. We're not going to be this. Let's go to a Unitarian church. Or you see all the stuff that's going on, in our day to day for everybody, um, as far as what rules our lives. And it's like, and I'm not always the best practitioner of it, but like my son the other day, well, about 3 weeks ago, was like, the president's a bad man, right? This is a 6-year-old. I'm like, how do you even know? Like, what do you even know about this? I was wishing he didn't know anything about it, because like, how do I sit there and be like, well, yeah, he is, because the next question is why,
Yeah.
and it's, and this whole thing carries over to being an atheist and people being religious, all kinds of things that are oppressive or hateful or dysfunctional. And I was just like, well, yeah, he's not a very good dude. He's like, of course, why? And I'm just like, well, I was like, and I really stumbled on it because I was driving on the freeway, so I bought myself some time, played some bad music. Cotton Eye Joe, Rednecks, don't play it for your children; they'll request it. Um, and I was just kind of like, well, I was like, some people don't have really good parents and people that teach them things, and so they grow up learning things that aren't good, but they don't necessarily know better. And so we shouldn't hate these people, but we should try to change their minds and try to just model that by doing good things. And you're just like, oh, so like, I think he had watched a show or something where somebody helped an old person cross the street or something. You're just like, so helping old people cross the street. I was like, yeah, like that, or you know, just saying hello, or someone's sad, like, you know, just talking to them, being nice. Like I was like, when in doubt, just act kindly, no matter who they are. Like even if they're your bully, whatever it is, like just be kind. I was like,
Yeah.
because being mean doesn't go far.
I mean, I don't know if this is a universal saying, but honey draws more flies than vinegar, and maybe that's a southern thing.
No, no. Well, technically Arizona's in the south. I just happen to be
Yeah,
on the west side. We have our own problems with that aren't totally different than the south, but no, it's true. Like it doesn't cost you anything to just be decent or nice, and I guess that's like the name of the chapter if you had to read it to your kid. It's like, because being mean might feel good at the time, but being mean and malicious and just vicious and hateful, like it does eat at you. I mean, I'm sure pretty much anybody, you, me, anybody that listens to this, it's like we've all been mad, like super mad about something. And at some point, like you're almost, it's like, it's kind of cancerous, it starts to eat at your, like, just kind of person. And so,
yeah. If you have a conscience,
right? Well, well, that's the thing is like empathy. I think the key to teaching your kid to be decent, I think the answer that I would give now, if somebody asks, well, how do you teach them to be a decent person without, X, Y, Z religion or book or this or that? It's like, teach them to be like to have empathy. I mean,
Yeah, that's not. That's in short supply, and that's something that I have had to learn. I think, and I'm 45 nearly. I mean,
are
this
you
isn't.
really?
Yeah, I'll be
Dude, I thought
45.
you were just like a couple few years older than I am. I'm 37.
Close enough. Whatever. I wish I was 35 is where I'd like to be. That's a good. No, but I mean, I've had to deal with a lot of issues within the last 5 years probably of having to kind of come to grips with the fact that I can be a real dick and I don't take into other people's feelings when I do things sometimes. And it's not really something I was doing on purpose because I thought I was a good person. It's just I just do it, and I have to really concentrate on it.
Well,
So it's a lesson that anybody could learn, and I at any time in their life, and the fact that anybody does it at all or is trying to do it, to me, that's I'll give a lot of leeway to somebody if I can see that they're trying to be a better person. You know,
well, yeah. I mean, regardless if you're like 6 or 600, everybody's just kind of learning. Like every day is the first. Like regardless of what age you are, every day is the first time you've been down that day. Like there's fundamental things that you would learn, early on and hopefully as an early adult, but that's not necessarily true for everybody. So it's just when it all comes down to it is like, does somebody have the intent or the desire to try to be a better person, whatever that means to them, whatever, is relevant. But I mean, there are malicious people and there are mistakes. Like, and I don't think any of us are impervious to it.
true enough.
Which cat is
So
that?
what?
Which cat is that one?
Well, that was seriously. Apparently, three. Let me go ahead and mention three of the cats have made an appearance tonight. Circe, Lillian, which is a tux, and Sandy. I maybe showed up in the picture a little bit. She is skittish,
Which
and the
one's the
fact that
black and white?
that's Lillian. That's a tuxedo cat. She's really pretty. Um, so yeah, three cats. Callie is middle aged and fat, so she doesn't move around much like me, obviously. So you don't see much of her.
Do
It's
you?
okay.
Natalie just walked in. Do you want to say hi?
Is she okay? I mean, is she?
Yeah, she's standing right here. She's got tacos.
Well, then she. I'm on. Yeah, I'm gonna
Hi,
let y'all go eat some taco. Hey, Natalie, how's it going?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fine. I heard you were having some issues with life and people
Yeah,
sucking.
it's work today was just,
Special.
a thing. So,
Okay. Well, you
but
don't
I'm
have to.
this guy for like
An
an
hour.
hour. Yeah, and I went and got tacos. So,
I mean, tacos are good, right?
tacos are great.
Well, I'm gonna let you go eat some tacos, but I
Wrap
feel like
up, wrap up your whatever you need to do.
I've detained you long enough. Although now I want tacos. There are some good tacos in Nashville. If you
You know
go
what?
to
Where?
there's I don't know, it's maybe a little racially insensitive, but I mean Little Mex. I mean it's where most of the Hispanic people live in Nashville, South Nashville,
Listen,
and they live in a little strip.
here's the thing:
And
is growing up in Phoenix, obviously, I have a border that is against Mexico, and all the Mexican food is really good. When I came out to Maryland, I was like, well, like, and Natalie told me, she's like, I love tacos. I was like, okay. So we got out here, and she's like, well, there's a really good taco place, and I kind of was like, oh, like whatever, like Maryland crabs and
whatever. Yeah.
whatever, like crabs in Old Bay. Like, how could you possibly have a good taco? Like, legitimately, there are some fucking ridiculous tacos out here. Ridiculous tacos, Salvadoran food. There's a lot more ethnic food out here in general than there is in Arizona. Like Arizona's pretty much, it's got down in Mesa, Arizona. There's a large swath of miscellaneous regions of Asia that you can get some amazing food. And then there's also boatloads of Mexican food. And actually, in December, she came out to Phoenix and we went on a taco tour. I took her, I think we traveled like 1,600 miles, like around Phoenix, up north, south. We went to Tucson, like near the border, all that stuff. And every day it was like 1 to 3 taco joints. And I'm going to say, like, Maryland holds its own. So when we come down there to your neck of the woods, we'll do the hot chicken and judge your tacos harshly.
Oh no, yeah, you're going to where they have places where they don't speak English, so those are the best places, you know.
Like, that's not racially insensitive. That's just a fact. Like,
No, it's yeah.
I mean, it honestly is. Like, if I want like French food, you go to France. You know, it just makes sense. Like, that's their hot dogs and hamburgers. You go.
Yeah,
You go where it's made. You know.
so yeah, there and the hot chicken, and actually, I know where they're in pretty very close proximity. So yeah, I won't take you to the regular places. I'll take you to the deep dive, you know, the off the beaten path.
Do you live in
Whatever.
Nashville, or where do you actually live?
I live in Fairview right now, which is like 20 miles outside. But I'm hopefully going to move back to Nashville proper within the next couple of months.
So is that considered like a suburb, or is that a town of its own?
It's like a bedroom. I mean, it's kind of becoming more. It's white flight because nobody can live in afford to live in Nashville anymore. But it's still redneck enough to be really annoying out here.
So if I was like, hey Chris, I want to move down to your neck of the woods, please describe to me how redneck the place you live in is. Like,
Okay,
how would you
it's
make that?
so. Let me say this: Kid Rock actually bought a spread out here just down the road.
All right,
So.
enough said. Like, I don't want to live anywhere where Kid Rock is, to be honest.
Yeah, no.
I've seen him at a festival. I did not choose to see him. I'm gonna like bite my tongue and say he actually puts on a decent show, but like,
Oh, okay,
no, it's
yeah,
I like his music, but his showmanship is solid at the time. This is like 1998, 99. It's a long time ago.
okay, well, that's fair.
Before he
That's
was
fair.
a GOP lackey.
Douchebag.
Total douchebag. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, I'm gonna let you go have your tacos.
Absolutely.
But
enjoy it.
yeah, thanks for coming on and talk to me at short notice. I know you got to go do a thing tomorrow. Go fly somewhere or something. Back to Phoenix.
Gonna go see the little dude. So yeah, no.
Yeah, the little dude.
Yeah, my little dude. No, but I appreciate you having me on and listening to me ramble for a while. So
You put out a lot of good information. I think a lot of people would appreciate the kind of stuff you said about parenting, because with an atheist, because I'm sure there's people who struggle with it. I know a couple personally. So
well, you know, if at least the whole thing makes somebody giggle about our meme conversation, then it's a win, right?
all right, dude. Well, take care.
All right, take it easy, man.